People who separated/divorced within 1 year of getting married. When did you know it was a mistake? Not me, but my dad. He got remarried after being divorced for about 5 years. I would have been all for it, but he met this woman in another state on a business trip and would travel up to see her every weekend. After they hit it off, they knew each other for 6 months before getting engaged. The engagement was only for 3 months. My brother and I tried telling him about all the red flags, telling him to take his time. My dad is very well off financially, and we kept trying to earn him things were moving too quickly, that she was only in it for the money. She moved her whole family from their hometown to the city my dad lived in, including their elderly grandmother who needed constant medical supervision. Before they were even married, the pantry was full of Whole Foods brand food instead of the local grocery store, as was tradition. All new furniture, and had the house repainted, all at his bride-to-be's request. The marriage lasted all of 2 weeks. Apparently my dad's new bride had the gall to ask my dad to leave everything to her in the will and write me and my brother out. Only then did he realize she was in it for the money. The next day he had the marriage annulled. Someday I would like to know what it's like to fall so completely for someone that I don't recognize they are taking advantage of me. Must feel good for that instant before it all comes crashing down. When he choked me against a wall at a party, he was mad that I laughed at another guy's joke. People were passing by us, but just kinda looked and kept going. Lots of other stuff happened, but it took me a while to wake up and break away. I was in denial for too long. Super late to the party here, but I knew it was over when she started a fight at my brother's funeral because female attendees were giving me hugs as part of condolences. Sorry you had to deal with that. My younger brother passed away last year and I can't imagine having to think about anything else other than the pain of it. My older bro's crazy ex actually showed up to the funeral and used the whole event to try to get close to him again. Some people are just unbelievable. I knew a week after I got married when he slammed my head into the wall because he saw me looking at a man at an ice cream shop. I'm from the US and got married in England. This dude changed completely right after we got married. A couple of weeks later, I had to get out of there and come back to the US. When I found out she was sending Snapchats to a co-worker, turns out she was sleeping with him. We got divorced. I met the girl of my dreams. We just had our first kid together 2 weeks ago. Honeymoon. We dated for 5 years, but on the honeymoon we had a big argument over my liberal use of sunscreen. She refused to wear any because of chemicals, and I liberally use it due to my ginger skin. We seriously argued over this for a good hour and she refused to even go into the pool with me because of sunscreen chemicals. After a scuba adventure with her she could hardly walk because she got so burnt on her legs, whereas my skin didn't change. She then tried to convince me that it was all my fault because I didn't force her to wear the sunscreen and that the honeymoon was ruined. It was then I realized I picked the wrong person. After a few more psycho arguments, mad at me because of something in her dreams, mad because I didn't remind her to bring an umbrella, I had to call it quits. I can't stay with someone who constantly blames me for their own problems. Luckily no kids, and I got back everything I brought into the marriage. She went out for girls' night and met a new friend named Nicole at a bar. Started texting her a lot, then going to hang out now and then. We had a baby at home, and she kept trying to go hang out with this girl from another town over with no last name, whom I was not allowed to meet. His real name was Wesley. The day after we got married, when he slapped me across the face, hard and completely out of the blue. No argument, no conversation leading up to it, nothing. He said it wasn't that hard of a hit, he was just kidding around, and I was being overdramatic. He had never gotten violent with me while dating, but as soon as we got married it was like a switch flipped, and he was a completely different person. It got worse very quickly, and I ended up filing for divorce 73 days after we got married. She decided she was in love with her stepbrother a month after we got married. A cousin of mine married someone who seemed like the perfect woman. They worked in the same store together, and he would brag about how his wife was getting promoted quickly in the company. A few months into the marriage, she tells him she's going out with friends for the evening. An hour or so later, my cousin gets a call from one of his friends. The friend saw her having dinner in a restaurant with the manager of the store that they both worked at. Once he confronted her about it, that was basically the end of the marriage. When I found out he had $500k in debt that he hadn't told me about beforehand. Yes, we had a prenup. He just lied about it on the prenup. The day after the wedding, when he poked me in the chest and said, "You're going to do what I say, whether you like it or not." Big mistake. This happened to both my aunt and my mother-in-law. Husbands-to-be were sweet as pie and super caring, totally charming, etc. Day of the wedding, after they say I do, it was like a literal light switch. I believe they both said something along the lines of, "You're my property now, and you'll do as I say," and when they didn't they were beat for it. I'm so glad they both got out, but it took my aunt 5 years I believe, and my mother-in-law 10. Best girlfriend I had to date at the time. I was in my late 30s, had never been married. Dated about a year. Got married. Shortly after, she asked to have her name on all of my assets, a few rental houses, current house, and some financial instruments, the cars. Not a problem as we were married, I thought, but on a Wednesday she insisted it be done by that Friday. I didn't have time to do that because work had a deadline. I could start it the next week, I said. She pitched a fit and said if I loved her I would do it by Friday. I found this strange and decided not to start it and see what happened. She moved out of our bedroom into a guest room. Got cold around the house. Told me she would move back into our bedroom when I finished getting everything done. At this point I thought BS and told her so. I went to my family lawyer to seek advice. She advised me not to put anything in her name at this point. Gave me the name of marriage counselor. She didn't want to go to counseling. She continued to live in the guest room. I took my lawyer's advice and did nothing about the assets. The long and short of it was after 1 year of marriage, when on our anniversary she told me I didn't have her in my heart. I thought to myself, this is BS. About a week after that I told her, if this is the way it's going to be, I'm not going to be married like this. I consulted my lawyer on what a judge would come up with regarding community property for the past year. Number came up to 20G. I took that number and added about 20 grand and proposed that to her so we can make it easy. I was going to spend more than that in lawyer's fees if it got ugly. It got ugly. A week later I got served with papers with all said in the complaint. When added up, she was going after $750k for 1 year of marriage, 1 year of divorce proceedings, and 2 years of property settlement proceedings on what should have been a 2-hour problem. Judgment came. 215 points in the judgment. I owed her what would have been the community property, about 20 grand, but awarded me attorney's fees. So in net, she owed me about 30 grand and left her to go buy her own car. Turns out this judge had worked her ass off through school to become a lawyer and the same to become a judge by 40 years old. I was told by another attorney that normally this judge never gives attorney's fees, but was so pissed off at the gold dig my wife attempted that she felt it was justified in this case. Even though I came out okay financially, it was an emotional train wreck to have this happen and go through all that. It's been 15 years since it happened. I was not dateable for about 2 years, but now very happy with where I am and who I'm with. Not me but my dad. He got back from his honeymoon and went back to work. He came home and something felt off when he walked in the door. She wasn't there when he got home from work, which was very odd for her since she got off work earlier than him and was always home when he got back. When she got back he mentioned that it was out of the ordinary that she had been out and asked if she went somewhere. He wasn't accusatory, just curious because it never happened, but she dodged his questions at first. Eventually, after he got suspicious of her dodging a simple question, she admitted that she'd quit her job, and when he asked why, she said she didn't need to work. So she was planning on using him as her cash cow. He doesn't remember how the conversation went exactly since it was 30 years ago. He tried counseling and asked her to get her job back, but she always brushed him off and never took him seriously. He threw in the towel 7 months later, and she started trying to fix things, but it had been 7 months of him trying to fix things, and she had no interest. So he filed for divorce and went on to achieve his lifelong dream. He dated and then married his middle school crush, my mom, 28 years strong. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. New videos every day. Check out our playlist.